Good morning to our viewers and good morning to my colleagues. My name is Dr. Rosaline Sebolao. Welcome to Lisport here at the University of the Free State. I'm excited today. What we are here to discuss and reflect on is about our Faculty of the Humanities in the University of the Free State. We established a Scholarship of Teaching and Learning project in 2022. And we thought looking back, in 2021, we need to look back and see how far we have come, and especially with the participants of this project. As the university, our vision is to be research-led, and the humanities saw it fit to encourage and inculcate a culture of research amongst the academics as well as staff, support staff, because all of us have a responsibility towards the improvement of teaching and learning and the quality of teaching. Now, today I have my colleagues here. I'm going to start at my extreme left. He will introduce himself. All these have been participating in this project. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Doc. My name is Israel Mawoyo. I'm a program coordinator for the First Year Success Program, our tutorial program that focuses on supporting first-year students.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
And I think I'm going to come to my right before I come to you. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Neo Rabohali. I started off as an academic advisor, now known as curriculum advisors, for the Faculty of Humanities, and then I'm now serving as a social worker under the Division of Student Affairs for the Health and Wellness Center of this beautiful university, working from the South Campus.
Brilliant. That already tells our viewers there that you don't have to be a lecturer for you to do Scholarship of Teaching and Learning. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning and thank you for the invitation. I am Nontombi Velelo from the Department of Sociology. I am also one of the 5 program directors of Social Science Program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So what I am doing, I'm the Teaching and Learning Manager in the Faculty of the Humanities. And part of my responsibility is to empower academics, to empower students. And it would not be successful for me if I would just leave out others. So that is why you hear that I have First Year Success Program. And actually, Israel should have indicated he started as a facilitator. Yeah. So that's why I like when he became part of the Scholarship of Teaching and Learning, he was still a facilitator. So we involve everyone who has a role to play in teaching and learning. Now, maybe to start off, Osnel, when you first participated in the Scholarship of Teaching and Learning, did you think is it relevant for me? Did you ask yourself such questions?
Dr. S, to be honest, yes, I did ask myself that question because I was curious. And my curiosity was driven by the fact that I saw that there was a disconnect between what I was doing as a curriculum advisor vis-a-vis the understanding of students. So I wanted to understand what is going on and how best can it be tackled so that at the end of the day, the students' experience is improved. So it was curiosity in trying to answer what I was dealing with at the time.
Brilliant. Love that. Man Tombi?
I think for me, it began with when Prof. Peterson came and introduced the concept of scholarship of teaching and learning. Because as an academic, you just know about teaching and learning. But now the scholarship part of it, what does it mean? And that's where my curiosity actually started growing much more. And I wanted to understand what is scholarship of teaching and learning? What is the difference between just teaching and learning and the scholarship of teaching and learning? And it was part of my performance, key performance areas, So I took it upon myself to know exactly how am I supposed to perform at which level when it comes to that particular aspect.
Brilliant. I like the fact that she indicated it was part of her key performance areas. However, I always say to people, don't look at your key performance areas only, because if you want to grow, whatever new thing that comes in. Now, in here, it was not part of her key performance area, but she understood that let me participate and actually learn. Because in scholarship of teaching and learning, before I got to Israel, I always indicate that there's good teaching out there. There are people who are gifted in teaching, who just can teach and achieve what they're supposed to achieve. But there's scholarly teaching where you actually base your teaching on the research of others, the work that people have done, scholarly people. But there's then scholarship of teaching and learning, which we are trying to aspire to. We're also aspiring to become scholarly in all our work. But then we'll get to actually scholarship of teaching and learning. Israel, when you first started participating, how was it?
Yeah, thank you, Doc, for roping me into this initiative. You pitched the value proposition quite well because through my interaction with students, they would always allude, that wow, I really enjoy your classes. That's the good aspect of it. But in terms of how one can actually, move from being a good teacher to being a scholarly teacher, where you teach on the basis of research, and that's what we are as an institution of higher education. We are a research-led institution. So that was my passion, and someone who's also desiring to grow in academia. I saw a great value proposition, and I must say, over the years, I have grown significantly through
Brilliant.
participating in the Sortland faculty.
Wow. I love the fact that she says students would enjoy his class, but enjoying because you've been used to teaching and you are naturally a good facilitator. But what is important is teaching the same way, you're just going through the textbook all the time is not what we want in academia.
Yeah.
So you then up your game and say, let me really see what scholarship of teaching and learning is about. And I love the fact that you even arranged at some point, we presented to the facilitators
Yeah.
to say, how do you move? Do you enable your students to gain graduate attributes through your facilitation? That's part of scholarship. So I also want you to share with us, how did you apply on a small scale in your own teaching? How do you bring in what you've learned from scholarship of teaching and learning activities to make sure that you make your teaching different or your work different? Maybe starting with yours now.
I think from my side, it's the understanding that when a student is coming to us to study, they are still a whole human being, holistic, and there's a lot of these parts or avenues of their being that affect one another. So ensuring that the experience is a positive one, that when the student leaves the UFS, they will be able to say, that was a season in my life, that was useful. It was a season in my life that I enjoyed. It was a season in my life that was enlightening. That it's not just about them learning the theories that we teach them and the methodologies that we put into it, but at the end of the day, we have a well-rounded off human being and graduate who can perform and actually, help us respond to the challenges of the country, because that is what we're pushing, that they're able to assist within the context of South Africa and beyond, and actually realize that which they were created to achieve in the long run.
Brilliant. I think I like the fact that you say when the students leave, they will always remember how you interacted with them. And in most cases, when we talk about scholarship of teaching, we say it's not about just increasing the research outputs. And now as universities, we aspire to be the top, our outputs. But it's not only about that. We want the students to benefit, the learning to take place and at a quality level, and the teaching also. Having talked about the teaching, Osman, I want you to share on yours at a small scale. How did you utilize the sort of?
My need was in two folds.
Yeah.
Firstly, it caused me to self-introspect as an academic
Yeah.
in terms of what is my teaching approach, what is my teaching philosophy, so that I can be able to meet my students at the level where they are. And I had to unlearn
Yeah.
the whole notion of being a good teacher, because remember, as a lecturer, I'm a discipline expert, not a teacher. I didn't do teaching. But I had to firstly get to that point of interrogating and not interrogating, but introspecting and reflecting and see how best do I now meet my students at that level. And my teaching philosophy had to be the humanistic approach, whereby it is also in line with our Vision 130. It talks about the ethic of care. It talks about meeting students where they are and having that human aspect and human touch. In terms of, it is not only about improving the cognitive level or the thinking level or the pass rate of the students, but the students are confronted with real issues on daily basis. And as we prepare them, particularly for social sciences, these are the issues that they are going to deal with as in the work environment. So how do I best prepare them and give them a skill? Now, on a smaller scale, what I would do was to actually have reflection sessions and planning sessions with facilitators in terms of when we meet students at this particular point and using these particular strategies, does it really yield results? And to what extent are actually students are much more receptive, and what can be improved? So it was in that twofold.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
I love the fact that, wow, I'm actually learning again. I'm unlearning and learning.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you're indicating how you have allowed your students to reflect. Now, this is exactly what we talk about when we say scholarly.
Yeah.
And now that can be taken higher to say, I'm now in the scholarship of teaching and learning, because then you can write about this experience to say how what I experienced, what I have done with my students, and then now after that, what was the impact? And that is actually what we call scholarship of teaching, and because then you start saying, I am going to go and present my findings of my practice to a broader community. It might be from a smaller community, and then you will get to that to say you actually presented some of your, experiences, and then we'll get to that. Israel, your experience.
My experience, I must say, I share the same sentiments as Mebelelo here has alluded, in terms of how participating in the sort of challenges to reflect on your own teaching practice, to say how effective your teaching practice as a lecturer, as a facilitator, because we are not trained to be academic, to be academic in the sense of the teaching. My journey into teaching was just being identified. Wow, you're an exceptional student at undergraduate level. How about you become a tutor? and you inherit the study guide. You get to do that,
And you don't even know.
you don't even know, but you are cruising. Your students, you can relate to the peers.
Yes.
They like you, and you realize what works, what doesn't work at that level.
Yeah.
But the sort of what it pushed me to actually pursue was to pursue a postgraduate in postgraduate diploma in higher education studies, a qualification that I enrolled in 2022 and completed in 2023. And this qualification, what it challenged me, challenged me is to actually reflect on my practice, and how I can enhance that even in many ways, actually, Doc. in terms of, the ways we engage students, the ways we assess, the way we understand higher education in terms of theories of higher education, and to start seeing students at a different level that, after having, after having taught for such a long period, I actually said, wow. I actually said I did a disservice to the student that passed through my classes.
And that's exactly reflection.
Yeah.
To say, I did it this way, now I'm going to change because now I know because of the scholarliness that I've gained. So I really appreciate that because it's very important. And to our viewers, if you've been listening, most of us are talking reflection. That's all it is about scholarship of teaching and learning. We are reflecting on our practice.
Yeah.
Exactly what we're doing today, it's reflecting to say we started this project. Did we know that we'll end up here with people who have done the postgraduate diploma in higher education? We did not know. We did not know that us now here. I think I would like to come to you to say, while you were the curriculum advisor, your involvement in SOTEL led you to do certain things that you never thought you'd do, finding yourself presenting at some stages and going to writing retreats. So for me, that is very key. So I just want you to share all that.
There is power and value in reflecting. I don't think I can overemphasize it enough. You cannot keep on doing things as a practitioner and not reflect. Because you need to sit down and check, is what I'm doing the best way of doing it?
Yeah.
What impact is there the way I'm doing it right now? Because like I said, it started off as a curiosity, but when we put in the science behind it, and by we I mean myself and some colleagues and mentors, looking at our research project, particularly under the umbrella of curriculum advising, we were able to give a survey and then students responded. So the science behind it backed up what I was curious about, because it confirmed a lot of things and actually opened up other avenues where investigations need to take place. And I found myself, having to present at the Division of Student Affairs Research Colloquium under the leadership of Dr. VAP Val. And, that opportunity itself opened up new doors. And I mean, having the backup of the institution in terms of resources and having being able to go on a writing retreat and meet up with people who've been in research, them offering their expertise and fellow colleagues. There is a lot to do in terms of research. And if we want to be student-centered, as it is our vision for the UFS and research-led, we need to continue investing in reflective practices and in the SOTEL project, if I can put it that way.
I really love that. And what I just want to emphasize that listening to us now, it tells that you can't do it alone. Because when she says reflecting with colleagues, going to present, so she has moved from being just a good practitioner to becoming scholarly and now engaging in scholarship of teaching and learning. Because presenting there, you have different scholars who are able to critique you, but constructively, so that you learn and become a better person to say, but this is how we can improve our student involvement. And that paper that she has presented, maybe she can share, it's actually done, ready for submission for publication.
Yes.
So that is very great. I'm very
beautiful,
excited about her.
Yeah.
So that's actually one important part that I wanted to highlight. And recently we have our inaugural seminar because you always go up the stairs when you grow. We started in 2021. Now 2023 we had our inaugural seminar, and the two of you were there to present. Maybe to start with you, Velelo, how did you feel just participating in that, understanding that you are a history maker, starting something, being part of something that is started?
I think it was actually quite refreshing to be in one room with like-minded people who are firstly appreciative of the scholarship aspect of teaching and learning, because at the end of the day, the message is interrogate your own teaching practice and be honest in terms of, like Israel said, don't do social injustice to students. But at the same time, I would like to just take it back. When Noah was talking, I thought of in 2020, COVID actually forced me to sit down and say, now I have 500 students, and how am I going to cater for all of them?
Yes.
And that actually forced me to also say, I need to sit down and reflect on how am I going to take my students through. And I think that's where also I started engaging with scholarship of teaching and learning by presenting a paper at Haltasa, which was also quite encouraging, because you have all this expertise and people who are actually matured scholars and who are able to say to you, you know, this is not as difficult as people make it out to be. You just need to reflect on what you are doing. Then taking it from that point, I need to say, a colleague of mine and I actually applied for the CTL awards, and we got second position of innovative teaching.
Wow.
But that was because of actually reflecting on what students are appreciative of, what is working, what is not working, and how we take our students forward. So it takes a community to actually do this. But when you talk about the inaugural lecture that we had, or seminar that we had last year, it was actually quite encouraging to see a community of people that you can always bounce off ideas with. And matured scholars and emerging scholars, and also people whom we say are support staff, but who are actually working with students much more than us as academics. Because remember, the support staff actually meet students at a different level. I meet a student at an academic level, but the support staff actually meets a student at a normal human nature point of view. And that's where we go forward.
All right. Ezra, you also were part of that.
Yes, that for me was really, a brilliant opportunity. And also, just appreciating the importance of not despising humble beginnings. Because we started in 2021, and then in 2024, we are this big sort of. And for me, when we started, I never thought that I would actually even envision that I would actually grow to that level to work on a paper that is influenced by the many discussions that we had online, and sharing ideas and reflecting on my own practice. So here's to many more.
Brilliant. This is brilliant. I'm actually very excited, and I can assure you, I've listened to all of you, and I'm confident that we're really moving nicely through the continuum of scholarship of teaching and learning. We have been good practitioners. We have learned to become scholarly, and now we are really there at where we can say we are engaged and involved in scholarship of teaching and learning. And what we have also done, I think this is important that we must bring it, to the fore, that our dean even came up with women researchers in the humanities. And that has actually elevated us to say, a scholarship of teaching and learning, we can also become part of that worth. And he even went further and organized a collaboration with the UniZulu. So that for me is saying we are growing as SOTL, while it's researchers, women researchers, but it also involves anybody who does scholarship of teaching and learning. So you can see that this baby has grown, and we can even influence while we're impacting the university, the faculty, we're also working closely with the Center for Teaching and Learning because they are spearheading SOTL in the institution. And now we're saying we are feeding into the bigger institutional project. So it's important for people, for all of us to see this as really growing and contributing to the institution, but also growing and representing or growing the nation, the region, and even internationally. So I just want to say, if you want to share your last word before we close this, this has been a very brilliant interview. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Anyone who wants to share the last? And by the way, I'm sitting between the two future doctors. This one is almost, this one is getting there, and the future Dr. Mawoyo. So the scholarship of teaching and learning is actually encouraging as well, because you learn how to do research and say, but PhD is not difficult, because research is made to seem so difficult. But when you start in the scholarship of teaching and learning, I've presented to some facilitators. They say, Dr. Sebolao, we could have long done this. It sounds so simple, because we need to make it less abstract so that everybody can actually participate. Your last parting shot.
Okay, I think I'm suggesting that to actually, as a practitioner, just keep on doing things in a particular way and never reflecting is to a certain extent arrogant, because there's always room for improvement. It's almost like you are saying to yourself, but I know everything that there is to know about my field, and that is that. So it's very important for us as humans to always remember that we are scholars of life, like to have that at the back of your mind, to say, it doesn't matter how old I've been, for how long have I been doing something, or how old am I, but there's always, I mean, the world is continuously changing. As a psychosocial support practitioner right now, I can tell you that the issues that our students are dealing with today are not the same issues that they were dealing with 15 years ago. So it cannot be that you want to always just do things without reflecting. So reflecting allows you to see what is going on in real time, and also using what you've learned, I mean, as part of your training. How can I use what I've learned to figure things out, or to actually confirm certain things? Because like you said, it's scholarly work. It's not just thumb sucking. You use research methodologies, tested, and proven to come to the conclusions that you come to, and then you're able to make the recommendation. And at the end of the day, it's all about an improved human experience.
Brilliant. I think I like you. You're really passionate about students, and it reminds me that even in our inaugural seminar, SOTL seminar, we made sure that we invited students to come and present how they experienced their teaching, their learning throughout, and how they gained the graduate attributes. So it's very important that as we go, we must not forget the students. It's very important.
For me, I would say SOTL actually helps you as a lecturer to become a better academic, because my research is based on my niche area. And at the end of the day, it is just a matter of my research is speaking to my teaching and learning, and teaching and learning speaks to my research. So that is what I would say.
All right. Thank you so much. Over to you, Israel.
All right. For me, as a coordinator of the First Year Success Program, I mainly work with individuals, facilitators that have just completed their bachelor's degree. So this message I'm sending to them, but also to junior staff members, especially lecturers, just, hey, come and grow your own practice. Come and experience, an opportunity to improve yourself, to improve students' learning, and find ways to to engage, uh, your students is academics. Most academics are mourning about students.
Yeah.
And I think, sorry, Dr. Sebolao, I think with that,
Yeah.
we need to remember that academics are discipline experts, not teachers.
Yeah.
Like, no one really prepares you in terms of how you're gonna go and handle your classroom, but you would know your discipline quite
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So scholarship of teaching and learning also refreshes
Yeah.
one in terms of giving necessary tools of how to handle the classroom
Yeah.
as someone who is only trained in a specific discipline, not also having that teaching background
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
compared to colleagues from the Faculty of Education.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And I
Yeah.
think, sorry to interrupt, but research methods allow you to understand where the student is coming from. To a certain extent, working qualitatively, whilst you're doing your research with students, like we did with colleagues, we were able to figure out that not only are they confirming that there are certain things they don't get, but they're explaining why is it that they do not get them, and they're even suggesting, if you want me to get the message, this is how I would suggest that you go about it.
Yeah.
So it's progress
Yeah.
driven. It leads to understanding, and in all honesty, there can be improvements. So SOTO really assists in breaking the ground, in making sure that we find the most relevant ways of making sure that the student experience is positive.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much, colleagues, for your contribution. And this brings us to the end of our, reflections. I know we could stay here and reflect more, but I just want to say I'm so proud to have mentees like you. I always say I volunteer my mentorship, even if I'm not asked to. So, and we have, and maybe I need to indicate that one of our colleagues who's also participating is even now going to do the postgraduate diploma in higher education with Rhodes, starting next month for the academic developers. So we are trying to increase the agency so that more of us can actually understand what it is to become scholarly and what it is, why should we reflect all the time, at all times. And it's so important even in the classroom. So I really want to thank you so much. And to our viewers, really, I want to encourage you, wherever you are in your institutions, get involved in the scholarship of teaching and learning. Thank you so much, colleagues.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you for inviting us, and you are welcome.
Thank you.